day, everyone. So I hope you're all doing okay and you finished the last lessons activities, which was all about angle of elevation. So as a recap, when you previous lesson, here we have the angle of elevation. So angle of elevation, in short, basically is when you look at something from below from the ground level to somewhere to the top or higher than you, then that creates an angle of elevation. You have there the elements of the eye level, horizontal line. Then you have also the line of sight, which you are looking at the object to. There, this part here is what you call, here you are as the observer, and this part here is what you call the angle of elevation. So for today's lesson, we're gonna discuss the other kind of angle which can be created when you look down at something on the ground. And we call this angle as angle of depression. So for the learning targets of the day, first is to define angle of depression. Second, solve problems involving angle of depression. So then again, what is an angle of elevation? When you look down at something on the ground, you are creating an angle of depression. Depression, like basically, is like you're down something. When we look down, we create a right triangle all around us that will help us find distances and angles. Many real life problems on right triangle can be solved using this. Angle of depression is an acute angle formed by the horizontal line. In this case, the horizontal line is the one up there, eye level, and the line of sight of the observer, which is you who are you being the observer, and this is your line of sight. And then you have here the angle of depression. I mean, you being at the top of the tower, looking down to someone from from below, you are creating the angle of elevation. Okay, so the angle of depression can be found using any of the trigonometric functions. In another illustration you have here, it's almost the same though. So it's the horizontal line and then the line of sight of the observer. Okay. The observer this time is not the person. It's now the bird. Okay. Because it's creating the uh, angle of depression. Meaning the bird is looking at the person. The line of sight is this one. And then the angle of elevation is this part. Okay. So usually it comes from the top. Okay. Now, when you solve for the angle of depression, you can still use the following functions, either of the six trigonometric functions. Okay, so let's start first by solving this triangle. So this one is just a bit easier, money. Um, Easy because you can just solve it using the six trigonometric ratio. You just have to choose carefully. In this case, you have to assess the same thing. Now, first step is to assess the problem. If you have the illustration, you look at the given. Same way, when you are given the problems in statement form, you still have to assess the given. Labi na o walay illustration if there's no illustration. So in this case, it's only the illustration that you're given with. So what you need to solve is the value of x. So then you assess which part of the triangle is that right triangle is that with respect to this angle 41 degrees. Now, why is that part of the um, angle of depression? Well, in geometry, you have there the concept of horizontal angles. No? So horizontal angles basically goes like this. If you have an angle here, let's say that angle is theta, then this angle is also theta. Okay, so let's say this is 30 degrees. This is also 30 degrees. It also applies in this case. So if we draw a line here, the horizontal line, parallel to this line here, the x, this angle will also be 41 degrees. Meaning you can rewrite the illustration in this manner for you to solve it in another way. But you can also solve it, okay, for a moment. You can also solve it in this manner, okay? This manner. This is also a right triangle, okay? So this part here is 15.24 and so on. So you only need to solve for x. So that is still the same perspective, following the concept of horizontal uh, angles, vertical angle, angles made by horizontal lines. Okay. Now, how to solve this? So then you identify which part of these triangle, of this triangle, these variables are. So for instance, with respect to 41 degrees, for instance, x is just adjacent. And this side here, the height of the tower or the castle is 15.24. That is the opposite of the angle. So then you then say that the function that we're going to use is tangent theta equal to opposite over adjacent. You can also use the OWA. So tangent 41 degrees is equal to the opposite this time is 15.24. Sir, if I'm going to use the one at the top, this illustration, the one in red, will it be still the same answer with the other one? Yes. Okay. Even if you're going to use the same function, it will still be the same. So we then replace, so long as you'll be able to identify the correct position of the variables and the values. Tangent 41 degrees is just, we then exchange their places. Tangent 41, then x is just 17.53 meters. Okay, that's the first example. You may pause and reflect on the, analyze the solution. If you have questions, feel free to comment lang. So in the next problem, from the top of a fire tower, a forest ranger sees his partner on the ground at an angle of depression of 40 degrees. If the tower is 45 feet in height, how far is the partner from the base? So there are also cases that you'll not be given with the illustration. You have to use your creativity. So for instance, you have there the tower and then the person. Okay. Take note that a forest ranger sees his partner on the ground. The ranger is not the one on the ground. It's not this one. Instead, the ranger is located here. The ranger is here. Okay? So, where do you put the, uh, first is where do you put the 45 feet? Okay? And where do you put the 40 degrees? Let's check. The 40 degrees, since that is the angle of depression, you place it here. Sorry. Let's see, 45 feet, that's for the height of the tower. And then, for the 40 degrees, you place it there. Okay? Sir, can I also place it here? Yes, pwede. Possible na siya. Horizontal angles na siya. Okay. So, then, what's the question? How far is the partner from the base? So, the question here is, how far daw ang distance ni Anidori kana siya hantod sa base um, sa tower. No? So we say, let's say, that part there is x. Okay, that part is x. So how do you solve for x? Then, pwede natin siya since 40 degrees man na siya, automatic ni diri sa ubos 40 degrees na ni siya. So pwede ra gyapon. It's also possible that you may solve it this part here. It's up to you. This is 45 feet, and either way, and kani imong isolve x3. So then, let's say I want to solve this one in this POV. Let's check. So moment ha. So in this POV, so take note that the x there is the what? The adjacent to the angle 40 degrees with respect to angle 40 degrees. And 45 feet is just the opposite. So we then use the we just have to let some variables. Let x be the distance of the partner from the tower. Okay, so we then use tangent because you have x as the adjacent and then 45 feet as the opposite. So tangent 40 degrees equals 45 over opposite over x. Then exchange their places. X equal to 45 over tangent 40 degrees. And then that is roughly x equal to 53.6353. We just settled for 2 decimal place. X therefore is 53.64. In sentence form, we say 50 the distance of the partner from the base of the tower is 53.64 feet. Again, if you have questions, feel free to comment in the comment box. I don't know if it will be available. So I just would like to clarify on this part here. Why is it you transferred writing this one? Again, with the concept of the horizontal angles, if this one is 40 here, it follows that on this side as well, it will be 40. Following that one, this will be 50. And also this side is 50. Okay, but that's not necessary anyway. Okay. The concept here is if that is 40 there, then this side as well by horizontal angles is 40 degrees. Then you may look at it in a different perspective. Okay, next example. From the top of an observation tower, the angle of depression of a campfire is 73 degrees. If the base of the tower is 534 meters from the campfire, how tall is the tower? So you then have to check or use your imagination to draw the tower, the campfire, no? So of course you create distance from them. So this is your tower and this is your campfire. This is your tower and this is your campfire. Since it talks about the angle of elevation, then the angle must be somewhere here and this one, right? Using the concept we used a while ago. But we need to place first the 534 meters from the campfire. The base, this part here, is what? How long? It is 534 meters from each other. Okay. Now, what about the 73 degrees? That is the angle of depression. This is 73. Likewise, the one below is also 73 degrees. Okay. So what is being asked? It is the height of the tower. So then we have to solve for this height here. Okay. Is how tall is that? So then, for the solution, we use a different color this time. Try orange. Let y na lang po. Let y be the height. of the tower. So still the same, you have to assess which part or what parts of the triangle are given with respect to the angle 73 degrees. So then we check if we use this perspective here, it will still be the same though. So either way, it's still the same. If you want to place the 534 here, since that is parallel naman on this side, that is equal, then so be it. That's still the same. And then this is the question mark, still the same. Opposite, adjacent. This one, opposite, adjacent. Since this is y, opposite, adjacent, we then use tangent. Tangent theta equal to opposite over adjacent. Tangent 73 degrees equals, the opposite is y, adjacent is 534. Since the one missing is the numerator, we then use the multiplication equal to y. And that is just equal to, how much is that? Oh, 1,746. I'm not sure. 0.635 roughly. And then round to two decimal place. We have 1,746.64. Hence, the tower is 1,746.64 meters high. Okay? Last one example. This time, it will be asking about, the angle of depression. So, for the first three examples you were solving, we were solving for the value of the missing side of the right triangle, or the missing length of a particular object indicated in the problem. In this case, it will be the opposite. You have the height of the lighthouse, and then the distance of the ship offshore to the lighthouse. So from the top of a 196 feet lighthouse, a man observes a ship that is 991 feet offshore. Find the angle of depression of the ship. So then we use our imagination and see which part of the triangle is given. So this is the tower. So you have to label that as well. You know, how long is that? Now this part here, there is a label for that. That is the distance of the offshore to the ship. No, and this one here is the same as the height of the tower. So let's check for the 196 feet lighthouse. That is the height there of the tower, or the lighthouse. And then the 991 feet is the distance. It's the same here. No? It's the same here. 991 still. So if that is x there, x degrees tanisha. Okay. So this is 196. If you want to draw it this way, for it to have a different perspective, you may do so. No? It's still the same. Do not worry. So we then use a representation of the angle. In this case, it's the one being used is x. No? So usually, dili siya x. Usually, it's just theta. No? We'll just replace it with theta. And then we will use lighter blue. So again, this is, say, we let theta be the angle of depression of the ship from the top of the tower. So you have to check which part of the triangle is given. So, for example, in this perspective, the 196 feet is just the opposite, and then 991 is just the adjacent. So, we use tangent theta equal to opposite over adjacent. Tangent theta is missing man na ang theta, so the opposite is 196, and then the adjacent is 991. So to solve for tangent -1, just simply press shift and then type this function. So you'll get, you think, 11.1887 degrees. And then, di ba, pag angle, usually, we write it in, close to, or usually, round to the nearest whole number, no? So, that's why it's just 11 degrees. So, theta is equal to 11 degrees. Therefore, no, it's not the height. Not the height. The angle of depression, I'll just write it here. The angle of depression of the ship from the top of the tower, the Musigo, is 11 degrees. Questions? So if you have questions, feel free to comment your questions in the comment box or message me in Messenger. And I think this would be the last example. We still have a lot of examples though, but we'll be having this more on Thursday na. It would be all. God bless and see you around.